I'm excited about our conference from this standpoint. Another opportunity. I'm not even sure if the voting came out yet or not, but whether it's Tennessee, Alabama, we have two potential candidates of being number one in the country. This is a week that can happen, and have two basketball teams, basketball programs from our conference to be ranked at that level. Obviously, South Carolina, Dawn Staley and her program has done a tremendous job. Hopefully on the men's side, we can also get that number one recognition. With that being said, it just speaks volumes of the path at which anyone from our team has to go, being prepared in a possible opportunity as we all strive on that number one goal, and that's to play April 1st, April 3rd in Houston. Our last game, the outcome wasn't what we wanted it to be. There's no doubt about it. We got to regroup, obviously, and get back to the things that we've done.
Dennis, obviously, it's not exclusive to you guys. Like 20% of the teams in the country have a winning record on the road. What makes it so hard to win at somebody else's building?
What makes it hard?
Yeah.
I think ultimately home court advantage is home court advantage. It's well documented on the test of time. I think the elite teams find a way to win on the road, and very few of those, like you said, I think it's 20% find that out. Whenever you win 30 games in your year, you're winning 75% of your road games as well, and neutral site games. So those are things that obviously, we're not at that phase yet. We're in the infant phases of building a program. Those are things that you learn along the way.
Dennis, the three-point shooting on Saturday, was it the same kind of shots you'd been making, or did you feel like maybe not as part of the offense or within the offense as those other games when you're shooting? Really
Yeah, I
well?
think when you look at anyone that has played Mississippi State, you got to understand that team was ranked in the top 25 earlier in the year. That doesn't mean that they're not a good team. Their record is not indicating of who they are. What it says is this is not a round-robin conference. They have played Tennessee twice. They have played several teams twice. And now they get to kind of settle in at home. You got to understand, they took the possible number one team in the country down to the last possession on the road. The one thing that I respect about Chris Jans and his program is obviously their consistency on that defensive. They were probably yielding one of the least point totals per opponent throughout the country, which makes them who they are. And that's what gave them that ranking and that advantage early on. So as it relates to our shots, I'm still encouraged about who we are, and we'll continue to shoot the ball.
Dennis, how much are you still learning about what you have at your disposal on this team and what rotations might look like going forward in February?
I don't think we're past the learning stage. We know exactly who we are and what we do. I think from top to bottom, we've seen the rotation. Everyone has played a significant role throughout the year. It's just a matter of putting it all on that blank canvas, and each opponent, each opportunity, each day, each week presents challenges. And those challenges, whether it's knick-knack injuries or whatnot, not having guys that deals in another rotation or another philosophy on what unit is best out there. And that's what we have to always navigate as coaches. And that's ultimately what takes place during this month of February, but also leading into March.
Dennis, as far as injuries go, Trey and Ronnie, do you have any updates for them for tomorrow?
Well, like I said, when you're dealing with strain and sprains, you have to just read it day by day, week by week, and see what the progression is. I am encouraged by our guys, and what I see is just ultimately not forcing something that shouldn't be forced, because those things can linger into something bigger, or they can obviously take the turn for the better, and we have those guys on the court. But it's still day to day, game to game, dealing with those guys.
Dennis, when you look at the missing those two guys, what have you learned about the depth of this team so far?
It's important that you always have a roster that has that, because you never know what presents itself. I think we all learned that when we've dealt with COVID, right? I think with the protocols, it allows you to understand your team can be, sort of taken away from you in a nutshell. So you got to have guys willing to step up, but also player development within your program has to be a consistent, and it can't stop. And that's what we always done. We talk about winning by committee. I think what it shows where we have positive assist to turnover ratios by committee, those things matter, and ultimately it prevails a long season.
Dennis, you mentioned regrouping. What are the big things you want to see from your team in attempting to bounce back tomorrow night?
The same things that we have seen consistently. I think we have shown the ability to bounce back throughout our season. Being 5-5 in conference is something that we look at, but you have to look at the course of games, who you play after a loss and things like that. And I think our guys have done a good job of bouncing back regardless of who we played and how we played the week before. It's short-term memory, and you gotta have it because ultimately we don't want one loss to become two. We don't want to be able to go out there and not do what we do and play well. We didn't play well in Mississippi. We didn't. And that's the part that I think our guys, and it resonates and hurts more. It's one thing for both teams to play well and then you win or lose, but ultimately we did not play well. So we have to just continue to go out and strive and play well and play better than we did last game.
What do you think about South Carolina?
Lamont Paris does a great job. There's no doubt about it. He has a great team. They were able to win on the road at Kentucky. So again, in this conference, you can't look at records. You can't look at placement. The only time you look at placement is when the tournament bracket comes out. Other than that, most teams, because this is not a round robin tournament or round robin season, everyone plays someone different twice. And ultimately, you don't know who they are unless you really dive in studying it. So ultimately, I don't look just at record. I erase the record, look at personnel, look at style of play, and they do a good job.
When you're talking about the depth and rotations, just as a general philosophy, are you a guy who, like, come conference tournament time, you'd like to know, hey, this is my starting five, these are my top 7 or 8, or are you more, hey, this is matchup dependent, it could change anytime?
That's a great question, but I'm not thinking about conference at this moment.
Dennis, having the quick turnaround, this being on the road Saturday and then coming back here for a Tuesday, just what's that transition like and what's kind of difficult about that?
So ultimately, having a road game and coming back, you got to have a debrief. That's the most important thing. You got to debrief from your last opponent so you can obviously learn and keep into account the wear and tear of your body. So you want to be in, be out of practice, but also learn from video, learn from film, learn from individual workouts and things like that. But also make sure you're doing your strength and conditioning. Make sure that you're also in the training room meeting those things that are knick-knack injuries or whatever it is, preventative medicine, right? I think the big picture that we all have is quick recoveries. The conference is the conference. The schedule is not changing. And we have been in this situation. It's the same reason why you schedule non-conference games and have a day gap because it prepares you. You play on a Tuesday, be prepared to play on a Thursday. Same reason you go and play different tournaments, maybe where you back-to-back, because those things come up late in the season. So our schedule has been built for it. We've done it before, and we just ultimately keep with that same schedule that we've been practicing.
Dennis, if you go back and look at the film, what did you see out of Mabor Majak? What kind of minutes did he give you against Mississippi State?
Well, my boy just gave us size. He gave us someone that absorbed some fouls away from a Kobe Brown. Playing against one of the top post players, I think not only in the SEC but in the country, it can put guys in, foul trouble. And I made sure in those first couple minutes that Kobe was not ever going to be in that situation. And once I saw Mabor be able to hold seals, wedge, and be physical, but also absorb fouls, it took that pressure away from Mo. It took that pressure away from Kobe. It took that pressure away from Noah Carter. But he played some good minutes. I thought the team responded in the minutes he was in the game. So I was encouraged about what I saw.
And Coach, off that, what did you see from Caleb Brown?
Yeah, so Caleb did a good job, and I think when we look back at, Caleb played against Ole Miss. When he played in that game, he significantly changed the game at Ole Miss. So it's the same thing. He was a guy that was able to connect defensively, be in the right spot, gave us a bigger presence, but also a guy that was able to connect passes, post feeds, and different things, no different than he did at Ole Miss. He's been doing a great job for us, and we just got to continue to have guys step up, but they can't step up without opportunity. Mo Diarra can't step up without opportunity. Aiden Shaw has to step up with opportunity. When his number's called, he got to be willing to step up.
One last question.
Was there one or two things you're looking at Aiden that he can improve on in the course of the season, be more consistent at to have more of a role every game?
Well, I've talked to Aiden, so this is not a secret. Aiden's going to be a great basketball player. He's in the process of that. He's not great right now. He's a good player. He has to be on the path of development, and on that path of development, understanding certain things, being in the right spot. That's the biggest challenge. The other thing is strength. We know he's not the biggest guy. He's a guy that's 6'8", 6'9", but he's still under 200 pounds. So obviously those are things that happens developmental that you hope to see faster, but you can't speed that process up. And I don't ever want to speed weight gaining up for guys. Naturally, it'll happen when his body says it'll happen. The last thing is being able to rebound. Right now, he's rebounding at a 1 rebound every 6.5 minutes, and that's not acceptable for him. And I've talked to him about that.
All right, thanks.